Alright folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join us in the beautiful landscape of Scotland. And once again we're joined by Highlander 87 for this adventure. And today we're heading to a location at the top of Glen here, up near Invermark. We're heading out this hill track and we're going to go and document an amazing piece of Scottish history. And it's actually from 1745. In the days of the Highland clearances. This place is actually called the Balnamoon Cave, and at one time Bonnie Prince Charlie was actually hidden in this cave from the Jacobites when they were searching the land looking for him. And I believe it was the Laird of Balnamoon, James Carnegie Arbuthnot, that was helping him out and hiding him within this cave, and that's why it's called the Balnamoon Cave. So in today's video we're about to go and try and get to it. And it is pretty far up into these wild hills. So at this sign in the road here, we've not come far for the path, but this is where we need to head up. And it says the Queen's Well, 2 miles. And then we need to go about a mile beyond that. But I think we're pretty much looking out for a bridge on the left hand side. And I think we need to cross the river over that bridge, depending on how high the river is today. You can see the frost here with the wintry conditions. Check it out folks, this is the path, and look at the hills that we're in the middle of here. High mountains, and there is some other wee caves and stuff you can see in the cliffs. The path's pure ice with the water running off the hills and then freezing. Yeah, it's pure clear water here on the hill. And then the whole path's like this, it's slippy as anything. And it's a real bitter cold wind on today's adventure, but we've got this river to our left hand side that we need to cross, and I believe there is a bridge, but if not we might hit just hop over some stones in the river or try and find a crossing point. Every few steps you lose your footing on this ice and it is just mad trying to keep the grip. This is absolutely incredible, the scenes here folks. We've seen the bridge and look at this view looking back down Glen-esque over the snow covered hills. And the landscape around here is breathtaking. It's amazing to think of that old history hidden within these lands, and to think Bonnie Prince Charlie was also walking in these lands, hiding from the forces that were looking for him. And there's an interesting story. Apparently in the year 1745, when he was hiding in the cave, the redcoats actually came up looking for him, and he was in the local farmer's house having his tea, and like literally he acted like he was the farmer's workers. So the redcoats were in the house and the farmer says to him, go and clean out the byre and then make these gentlemen their tea. And then Bonnie Prince Charlie apparently did that and then went back and hid in the cave, and the redcoats thought it was the farm worker, whereas actually the person they were looking for was like right in front of them. It's crazy to have that wee piece of this story as well. Yeah, there's remains of the older bridge there, the old founds of it. This one built at a different time. It's so good that we've got a bridge because it is quite a wide river. There may be a way over it, but it would be quite difficult probably. Yeah, it's a crazy deep pool. So after we've crossed that little bridge there off the track we were on, we're now heading up the opposite side of the river. A little bit further up, the Queen's Well is actually over there. But we were at that in the summer, and I will link that video at the end of this one. But today's video, obviously we're at this side of the river, exploring new history that we've never seen. And this bit of land, we've never been, and it's crazy. Uncharted territory. I do apologise for wind in today's video, it's blowing through here, freezing cold. Look at this for a scene in front of us. Look at this folks, look how remote this land is. Basically this wee glen we're in today, there's no main roads up here. One mud track at the far side. Even this path we're on now, it's turned to this. And then look at the cliff-like mountains at the side of us here. And we're getting closer and closer to the snowy peaks of these mountains. And that's the hills where the Balnamoon Cave's hidden in the foot of. Pretty much round here to our left. This is amazing here, the river flows right close to our path and we basically have to head right round the side of this mountainscape here, and eventually both these valleys come together, so the hills are close and then the path just goes up between, and that's the area we need to get to for the Balnamoon Cave. But this is just an amazing little forest, and I think at one time there was a lot more of that on this hill, but it's been all replanted. And look, it's back to being a decent little path here. It's maybe good fishing grounds for the local estate or whatever. Now at the opposite side of the river we can see the Queen's Well, and that was as far as we walked in the summer. This was all way too overgrown in the summer to come for an adventure like this, and that was how we planned to come back in the winter months. The track, since we've come a bit further up, is getting less obvious, but we're just pushing through the wilderness here. But it's cool to see that fountain over there, or well, it's the Queen's Well. It was built in the 1800s for Queen Victoria, because she used to pass through these lands. It's so cool that I could share wee corners of Scotland like this with people all over the world. It's cool recording these hardly seen places. I think the Queen's Well and those other walks at the other side of the river is quite popular, but this is so cool to come to this side and see the cave. And it's a piece of history that's kind of forgotten. There's areas here today that are solid underfoot, whereas a few weeks ago it would have been super muddy with the wet conditions. But the ground's frozen with the frost, so it's perfect for walking, apart from when it's slippy. And look at this open piece of land. It looks like the river's been flowing over this at the high river conditions. Look at this, we're coming around the corner in the glen here. I do apologise for the wind. It's blowing down with extreme force from the high glen here, the snowy topped hills, and I believe that's Mount Keen over there to the right hand side. And we are just away to keep heading as far as the area where you can see both the mountains come down to like the low level of the valley, and then the caves around that area somewhere, folks. So yeah, it's just crazy being out here. You just never know what you're going to see when you're exploring lands you've never been. Look up there, folks. On the side of the cliff you can actually see a white quartz seam, and you get that in Scotland in the stonework. It's like old seams which are pure white and thick, and it's amazing to see that geology on the cliff up here. Some houses are actually built with big chunks of that white quartz as well. Queen's Well is just disappearing round the other side of that hill, and the river meanders this whole way. You can see the rock seams on the hills here, they're just incredible. And we're now making our way round the side of these cliffs, and we're blessed with this road. It fords through the water, so you wouldn't actually be able to walk through there unless you had wellies or whatever. But yeah, our path is now linked up with this, and it's refreshing getting some solid ground underfoot for this next mile. Look at this, we've rounded the next corner, and the landscape's getting more incredible each time we get a little bit further. And there's a mega waterfall coming down off that hill. The scenery today is just mind-blowing. To see the height of these cliffs, the size of these mountains, it's just incredible. They're just massive natural mega structures, and it does look like there's a few different caves hidden all over here. And maybe Bonnie Prince Charlie had an option with a few caves when he was hiding. Check that out, folks, that's a bit of quartz close up, and it's a big chunk of that stuff that we saw in the fissure of the rock earlier on in the video. Now look at this landscape. We've come around into the valley where we're right close to these big mountains, and we basically need to go through this gap. We're not too far now from the cave. Look at this wee waterfall and stuff leading down the land. This path here is like hardly explored, and it is just the wildest of paths up on this kind of cliff next to the river. Look at this, the wildest of little waterfalls. Yeah, because I think, see that black kind of rocky bit, I think that's where you would jump over. Kind of if you walk up the other side of the glen. I think that's the area that they hit to jump over the river. So I think we are nearing it, like. So down there the river's carved through the solid bedrock, and it flows down through the wee gap, And apparently in the 1800s there was two brothers making their way over the land, and when the first brother jumped over, he slipped into the water, and it was so ferocious, his brother jumped in to try and rescue him, and both their lives were sadly lost down at that point in the river. But you have to think, maybe like in the 1800s their shoe soles wouldn't have been as grippy, but the rocks and stuff are so slippy and the waters are so ferocious because the whole river flows through such a narrow little channel in the rock. It's just carved it, and yeah, it's just the most incredible place. See, when you're looking around at this state, it's just breathtaking. You can see the sun shining on the hilltops at the far side, and the river just meanders its way down through this glen, and this path is just pure ice. It's another one of those little waterfalls. Each of them, it's just such a peaceful sound when you hear the water trickling down off the hill, considering the land is so wild around it. Sometimes it's the water that carves these lands after the glaciation period. This is like some of the paths that you see in like Himalayas or whatever, but it's cool just to be able to explore places like this. I'm always just blown away by the vastness and the wildness of Scotland. It's so desolate. All this landscape and nothing but nature. And look how high in the glen we are compared to those lower mountains. Probably a good couple of thousand metres above sea level at this point. And we're just keeping following this track. See, there's a boulder there. It is near a boulder. I reckon there's about 1 million boulders here, folks, but here it is, folks. We've made it to this monumental piece in the land here, and it's just basically the bit of land that leads out into that even higher glen with the snow. Down here there's a boulder stands on its own, and then this grassy area, and the Balnamoon Cave's actually up here on this hillside. So let's head on up. This is what this adventure's all about, folks. Just think, Bonnie Prince Charlie was literally in this cave. The entrance looks so narrow. This is going to be difficult to climb this first bit. So here we are, folks, Balnamoon Cave. Winter adventure, and these rocks are so slippy. I need to be careful here. Highlander 87 and me are going a different route up the hillside here. See, the sort of thing with these like hills, the holes between the rocks can be really deep and super dangerous. It's amazing to think such historical figures from the tales of Scottish history were actually hiding within this piece of land here. Wow, it could be slippy and dangerous. Each footstep here, I'm just being so careful. I'm kind of going left and right, dodging and weaving. Whoa, it's so dangerous. It's slippy as air here as well because the ground's frozen. Yes, look, Balnamoon Cave, folks. Wow, this is the entrance here. Here I can hear water or something dripping inside it. Either that or there's somebody like chopping carrots. Look at that, folks, wow. What a crazy historical spot. We need to head right in here and take a look. Look at the construction of this, folks. Nature takes back over in these wild lands. I'm just hoping there's no mad like animals and stuff in here. Whoa, it's such a narrow entrance. You can just imagine him hidden in here. This is the craziest thing that we have seen on the channel for a long time, folks. Bonnie Prince Charlie's Balnamoon Cave. And look, it leads away in there as well. Check it out. So he could have been sitting away in, and even if somebody had looked in the door, if you can call that even a door, then he could have maybe gone in, hidden round that corner, because look, it goes away under there. Wow, what a crazy historical location. I can't even believe we've made it. This whole bit here is built.
It's bigger than I thought.
Here, it goes away into that hole. There's a whole side room and everything in here. And then look, it goes away up there as well, because it's kind of like stones that's fallen down on top of each other. The water's just dripping and running off here. See, it's so wet these days underfoot, it might not, you couldn't probably camp in here or whatever. But maybe in the summer you could, but getting here would be so difficult. Because it would be so overgrown. Just think of the hundreds of years since that historical time. 1745, I believe. Yeah, it's just absolutely mad, folks. Look, it goes way up there. The level of Scottish history. It's cool to bring this to you on the channel. Obviously, we have been to like the Queen's Well and things in Glenesk and documented most of the other history. So to come even further up today and to find this and to think Bonnie Prince Charlie. Are you coming into the Bonnie Prince Charlie's living room? His Scottish hidey hole. As so many people were looking for him back at that time. See, it's quite high there. You could probably actually stand up. Kind of if he was putting on his shirt. And I think it was probably more built back in the day here with the pebbles and stones. See, just think, it was literally, potentially, him that put these stones here. Bonnie Prince Charlie may have literally put that stone there. Yeah, that's so crazy to think of that. Highlander 87 folks have joined us in Bonnie Prince Charlie's kitchen. Wonder what bit he was like heating up his baked beans and stuff in. It's mad to think. Maybe, like you say, like earlier on in the video I was saying about him going down to get his tea at the local farmer, and obviously there was local people kind of hiding him from all the forces that was looking for him. I'm just blown away. I never knew like what to expect, and I had never really seen inside it. If the footage is a bit dark for this internal part, I might brighten it up a bit in the editor. But yeah, it's cool just to see it how it really is, and to know that that bit of history is here in the land. If I put the torch off, you'll be able to see like how dark it really is. It's just darkness. And probably back in the day, they obviously only had their flame torches on the go. Yeah, what a scene that is, like looking out the door of this place. Wow, a secret underground piece of history in Scotland, folks, and we've had it a few times on the channel. Old bits of history from different time frames. I'll go back out and get a look of it through the front, if I can fit out with my bag. Yes, we're coming out of inner earth here. What a crazy like fairy tale landscape we're in. To see history like that in the middle of it, wow. It's the maddest of scenes. You can see how difficult it is to actually climb out here. That's like his living room window right there. That's Bonnie Prince Charlie's bedroom window. I can't even believe it, we've made it. It's just so cool. Last weekend I was wanting to come up here, but the weather was so extreme. Scotland was getting hit with a storm and there was trees down over the road and that, and we had to go on secondary adventures. So to finally make it here this week, it's a special adventure on the channel. Wow, it's so wild with the higher cliffs above it. It's amazing just to stand here and take this in. Wonder if Bonnie Prince Charlie was struggling when he went in as well. Maybe he had other stones that he would lay over the front of there. Wow, I'm just blown away by this. It's so cool. The walls are well constructed, like dry stone walls. And if you were coming up the glen, you wouldn't even know where to look if you were looking for somebody like that, because there's all sorts of little bits that just look like caves. It was so slippy coming up here, and it's treacherous. Like if anybody comes here, they have to be careful, like, but it's so worth coming to for an adventure, considering that bit of history is involved with it. It's not just a little cave, it's Bonnie Prince Charlie's Balnamoon Cave. Yeah, I'm just wanting to see it from all angles. It's similar to some of the caves we've seen up like different glens, like Glendall. The pebbles, or the big massive boulders I should say, come rolling down the hill and they make like a roof or a cavity underneath. And some of them's absolutely massive. There's some massive kind of hidden caves caused just from the way the rocks have fallen. I think Highlander's going to get a couple of drone shots flying around here as well for his channel, and you can check out Highlander 87 on YouTube as well for drone videos and cool adventures and a different take on some of the places we go. Yeah, what a scene, folks, just check it out. That boulder there has been probably sitting there for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Every now and again more boulders, I'm just about losing my voice here, folks, with this cold conditions, but aye, every now and again The boulders are just like rolling down the hill, changing the landscape altogether. So I'm just thinking, before we leave this incredible landscape, I'm going to head into the cave once again, get another shot. I'll take my bag off as I go through for easiness. Wow, look at it, it's crazy to think the history of this. It is almost like eerie when you come into a dark area as well, because you wouldn't know if there's foxes or anything kicking about. Maybe the spirit of Bonnie Prince Charlie comes in here. You can just imagine him trying to fall asleep with the threat of somebody coming up here and finding him. And it is mad to think, Ken, he was in here getting his head down for the night. It's just magical, but proper peaceful up here as well in the glens. Probably in the summer you would get some adders and things like that coming around as well. Maybe in a place like this you would get adders for sure, because in Scotland there's a lot of adders. Look at this for a cave entrance. It is just like mad. It's like being in a movie set, folks. Look at the way the moss and stuff's growing. The way the water's running off all this. And I can hear Highlanders drone flying overhead. I'm going to go and get a couple of drone shots as well, and then I'll include them at the end of the video. So this is what I absolutely love, folks. Seeing history that I've never seen, going places that I've never been, and telling the story of the history along the way that's almost forgotten, and it's special little nuggets of history, again, just in places you wouldn't expect it. And I can hear the drone at the cave entrance. I don't want to go out now and like ruin his footage, because you'll see me on his video coming out the cave door. That might ruin the wildness. Anyway, I'll head out now. I can hear him fly off. I'm wanting to take off with my drone as well, folks, and go flying. Look at this heather and moss here. That's what is the colour of Scotland. So there we are, folks. I just got a couple of photographs of the front of this place, and there we are. Whoa, my foot's slipping out below me. Balnamoon Cave. I'm waiting to get the drone flying, but I'm not sure how high I'll be able to get for decent shots, because the wind is blowing strong. But I'm definitely going to fly up and get a couple of shots of like the entrance to that place. We'll get a real idea of how wild and remote this piece of land is. They certainly never made it easy to get to, and that was for a reason. It was a hiding place. And I think that's the proper route there up to it, and I must have gone the wrong way originally, clambering on the slippy rocks. Yeah, some of the other rocks around here are just massive, and just look where we are. It would be so hard to spot that cave entrance in there. That's the reason it's so narrow and hard to fit through. You would look from here and think that's no big enough for a human to go in. And yeah, I'm going to take the drone off down at this rock. So there we are, folks, the Balnamoon Cave. What a crazy adventure it's been, and it's not over yet. This is a special adventure, because now we'll have to try and make it back. In previous videos I would make that two adventures separate videos, but today it's all in one. It's just the maddest of scenes out here. And stick around at the end of the video for the drone footage that I just took. I was flying around with the drone getting some cool angles, but it's a bit windy, so I had to really watch that I didn't lose the thing. And we're basically battling against sunset in these winter conditions of Scotland now. We'll have to try and get back to the car for sunset, because there is no street lights out in the wild Highlands here, folks. So look at this on the left hand side. We're now above that kind of waterfall bit, and there's rock pools and stuff worn into the stones, and that's where that ferocious kind of waterfall drops off. Such a cool bit in the land, and you can see such an amazing view for here. This is our area, going from the highest bit of the glen, where the Balnamoon Cave's located, down to this area, the lower lying glen. And I think we'll be sheltered more from the colder wind once we're further down the glen. There's a different kind of stormy atmosphere settling in here, and yeah, we're just making the most of the winter. Obviously in the summer you couldn't come this direction, so it's like you just have to make the most of it in Scotland. It's either overgrown or else it's freezing cold. We're now at the lower part of the glen here, and you can see waterfalls and stuff at the far side, and the path's now leading back up the hill. This is kind of what we're dealing with until we get round the corner. Today's adventure has just been so cool. I love going into wild landscapes that's hardly documented, and when there's a bit of history hidden in the middle of it, that's what we're all about here on the channel, folks. Documenting these places it's hard to reach, and yeah, it's probably difficult to come here most times of the year. Check this out, folks. Some bits of this path you can hardly actually see where there is a path. In other parts it's really dangerous with like boglands and boggy areas, but we just need to keep navigating. Now and again you just catch a glimpse of where the path is, but there's one part up here where there's like 4 little streams all joined together. Check this out here, folks. We're right down by the river in the lower part of the glen. We can now see the lower hills of Glen Esk in the distance down here, and the river meanders. We have to follow it right around. That's the thing, we're kinda, like, you can probably see it's gone down a few octaves in light and it's starting to darken, so we're just kind of like keeping a fast pace, but we've both got sore legs now. It is quite a walk, so if anybody does go up there they should maybe take supplies with them or be prepared for a decent length of a walk. But obviously they didn't make it easy. If his cave had been next to a main road it wouldn't have served the purpose. Look at the view looking back up this magical landscape we've just explored, with the snow on the high hills. I believe it's Mount Keene, I should say. Look at the river water here, it's proper deep next to the path we're on. But yeah, a scene like that, folks, it's like a painting you could have on your living room wall, with the snowy hills in the background and then this crazy land in the front with the river flowing through the foreground. Look at this, folks, the full moon has actually come out to bless this adventure here, and we should be able to see by the moonlight even our way back if it gets that dark. Look, we've got this little stream crossing. I'm going to go for the parkour route. It's like a 45-degree angle there. Yeah, the full moon's out. It's gone behind that cloud, but that does make it better for this adventure as well. Look at this madness here, folks. It's probably getting darker. You can probably see it on the footage. It'll be coming across on the footage probably more because I'm putting the camera off and on, whereas to us it's just kind of gradually getting darker. Check it out, folks, we've made it to this milestone in the adventure. It's super windy at this point looking back up the valley. Look, we've made it over the wee bridge. You can see the remains where there's been an older bridge, but you saw it when we were walking in the way in here. It is getting super dark now on the adventure, and from this point onwards I'll just lighten up each clip as necessary for the ultimate viewing experience. Check it out, folks, we've made it back down as far as this gate here, and it is super dark now. This is actually the moon up here in the sky. I've enhanced the light a little bit on this clip so you can actually see what we're doing. And yeah, we're proper sore. We've walked for miles, as you can probably tell from how dark it's gotten, and what an adventure it's been. But we're actually pretty much back where we started this adventure, at the bottom of the path, so there's no better time to end this video than now, folks. I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye from me, goodbye from Highlander87, who's done well throughout this adventure too. We're both just gassed out. We're nearly at the car. So yeah, we'll catch you very soon with the next aid. See you soon.